continue to wreak havoc across Nigeria, states affected are counting their losses and devising measures to check its impact on the people. The Delta State government has opened 10 camps to accommodate internally displaced persons, IDPs, affected by flood in 19 out of 25 local government areas of the states. The Director General of the State Orientation Bureau, Eugene Uzum, said, in addition to the 10 established IDP camps, the Delta State Oil Producing Area Development Commission, the SOPADEC, built 2 camps in the Warri area to complement the efforts. It noted that the situation has become pathetic and worrisome, that some of the impacted communities have been invaded by reptiles like snakes and crocodiles. Wow, Jide, this flood story across the country, it's becoming very, very worrisome.
It's a national disaster. There's no other name by which you can call what is going on. I saw another sobering story about flood in Bayelsa. And Bayelsa, she has a border with Delta State. Bayelsa shut its schools. They shut its schools some weeks back and said they are going to resume in November. If the problem does not ease up, even in November, what it means is that they will not resume. And NIMET keeps warning us of even more floods. That's even the worrying part. NIMET keeps warning. Of course, they have to do their work. So if we are being told that that there will still be more flood, that means this problem can escalate. That means there's no end in sight. So what it means is even resources that government should have spent on infrastructure, on other things, you will now spend on these IDPs that are being created because you have to feed them. It's a very big problem this year. 31 Nigerian states are affected by flooding this year.
And Abuja.
31.
We were warned, but we didn't.
No, the thing is, do we even have the capacity? You talk about NAMA and the rest of them. They don't have the capacity to manage the kind of crisis that we are facing. You, for example, did you imagine that flood could be that bad in Lokoja, for example, in Kogi? Because what we saw, even the current, the pace with which the water was moving, it could easily sweep off people.
That's taking over
These are
roads.
people's homes. How do they drink? How do they drink water?
How do they live?
It's such a terrible thing. This is Delta now.
So IDP,
Farmlands
that's
gone.
the emergency.
Yes, they're creating more IDPs.
Because you can't live in homes like this.
Yes.
It has been invaded by reptiles.
No, I even saw where they were chasing one cobra. Did you see the video? They were chasing the cobra.
I saw the one of a python.
You see the way this reptile was swimming very fast on the water.
Python.
Even
Pythons
crocodiles.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
It's such a terrible thing this year.
And look at it, harvesting inside flood.
No, they have to harvest quickly.
After some time, it
will go back.
We might not be able to get the yields again.
It's next year that we will know the extent of this problem.
And the bad news is, according to NIMET, this rain is not going to subside until December. So it means we still have.
And the more we have the rain, the more
days to deal with.
These dams and everything will get filled up and
Yes.
they will need to release
It's
water.
unusual. What climate change is causing is unusual. Even this unusual rainfall is to be blamed on climate change. You see, when Harmattan is supposed to set in, it will not set in. Instead, you will be having
Harmattan
rains.
will come January.
So how do you then manage
Some
this
people
situation?
said Jesus was not born last year because in December there was no Harmattan. It was only in January we had Harmattan. It was a joke last year. That's what happened.
That's what climate change is doing to us.
Because this water level now, it will, thank God for a state like Lagos that they are able to, manage it somehow. Because some of this water come from Osun, Ogun.
No, I think Lagos should even be commended because you will see that after any major rainfall, you see the environmental gang, or I can't remember the exact name. They'll be clearing drains.
Doing dock.
They'll be clearing the drains. It's otherwise Lagos would have been in trouble, even without the release of water from the dam.
There are channels. They have big channels.
Big channel.
That take the water
It's getting
straight
better now.
To the lagoon.
to the lagoon.
It's getting better. There are some
They
areas.
invested so much money to build those canals, those primary, secondary, and tertiary channels. That's the saving grace of the state. Otherwise, that of Lagos will have been worse than
Yes, sir,
everywhere.
because we have lagoon,
Yes.
we have the Atlantic. We are surrounded
it
by
will have been
water.
worse.
When it rains and you go on the Third Mainland Bridge, you see the water is up.
But the level will rise. The level will
rising.
rise.
So if that has not been done in Lagos, it will have been serious disaster. Even in some areas, when it's raining and you go out, you see it. But immediately it's over. It goes down.
At that time, the channels take over and those airports close down.
I'm concerned about these dams too. When they have to open it, that will affect the whole of the sharing.
There's
There's
nothing
very
that we
little you
can
can
do.
do.
An unusual volume of rainfall will lead to the dams almost even breaking. And all you can do to ensure that the dam doesn't break is to slowly release the water. Slowly release it. But I know that unusual volume of rainfall that we are seeing, I said a lot of things are changing. Did you expect, for example, that ice flakes will come down in Katsina? Ice flakes in Katsina, a hot
Cold,
state.
very hot, very hot.
It came down. It destroyed many farms. So strange things will be happening because of this climate change thing. They warned us. We didn't listen. So the world will have to bear it.
Because I thought what I saw in Lokoja was, the height of it, not knowing that other states, the impact of this rain, other states.
Bayelsa is
Over
Really,
700,000
They've closed
schools in 300 communities.
they are facing real problem. They closed schools since early last month. They closed schools since last month. Now, the schools are supposed to resume in November, but I doubt if those schools will resume in November, except this problem eases off gradually. Because they are not going to endanger the children, in any way, children going to school, except things improve. And it's the same thing in Taraba, it's Benue. If you see some videos from Benue, and these are our food baskets.
Yeah.
If people lose their farms in places like Benue, in places like Taraba and Benue, in my view, are the most gifted states in terms of arable land in our country. In fact, there's nothing that you can't grow in Taraba. That's the only part of Nigeria where you can grow tea, for example. And Taraba, they have rubber, they have timber, they have even palm fruit. So they do very good palm oil. That's supposed to be a northern state, but some of the things that we grow in the south, like rubber, they grow it there. Yam, very good yam in Taraba State. But if people are losing their farms due to flooding, we should expect that next year will be tough in terms of prices of
Yes, of food. Because for me, even what has become a problem now should have been a blessing to us if we have the capacity to dam these waters in states so that during the dry season, you can put it to use. But we're not doing anything about that.
And a lot of the states don't even have,
a
big drainage channels.
We might witness unprecedented food scarcity next year.
Certainly.
The signs are there now.
It's there. If
Farmers are not able to
a bag
farm.
of rice is going for 46,000, that should tell you
Abuja.
something will happen.
In Abuja.
Because the man who lost is a 25 million naira farm. He's not the only one.
I learned that even
There are so many others.
Olam,
yes. Olam
they also lost their farm.
They lost it.
And these are big-time
Farmers.
rice producers. So
Olam too is in trouble now.
if we encourage people to come into rice production so that we can be self-sufficient in rice production, and this sort of thing is happening, why won't people resort to smuggling of foreign rice again? Of course, they are going to resort to if they can't lay their hands on the
local one.
on the local rice.
In which
Either
we have
because it's
invested
too expensive.
millions.
But people must eat rice.
People are because it's easy to cook. No matter how incompetent a woman is at cooking food,
and sometimes
you'll
when
be
you
able to
even
cook rice.
look at it, rice is trying to become cheaper than Gary.
Yes, no.
It's becoming cheaper when you look at it. Because if you go to the market and you buy a
Rice
bowl
is
of
cheaper than Gary, rice is
you
cheaper
still have
than
to start
beans.
looking.
This
Yes.
is not for
very
the
expensive.
elites.
You still have to start looking for other things with which to eat those other ones. But with rice, you can do concoction quickly, and you are eating.
If somebody said you can't use cooking gas to cook beans now, that you go and look for firewood. If you use that 12 kg
And you know
to
that's
cook
what,
beans.
all these fire trees that we are felling, they are worsening climate change.
Yeah.
Those people falling trees anyhow, they are worsening
And not
climate
replacing
change. And worsening flooding.
This is not insecurity. This is not banditry. This is not terrorist attack now. We have a natural disaster, and we have to start,
And it needs to be addressed.
Because even in the neighboring state, Edo, you already have a lot of IDP camps.
So how do we, out of 25 local governments, how do we have 10 local governments affected? The humanitarian crisis.
No, even diseases will spread because mosquitoes, when you have flooding, when you have stagnant water.
Yes,
mosquitoes,
sometimes
even
that
cholera,
area to be smelling.
Even cholera. Cholera will spread as a result of. So all these some communicable diseases. This is the time when our people will suffer from them, and I'm wondering where, for example, in your house you sank borehole, you need to drink purified water. How do you
That's
get
already
water
affected.
to drink when the whole area is flooded?
So that's already affected.
You know, stagnant water that is stinking. What is just terrible. And
Ikena,
Yeah.
can you please
Good afternoon.
give us
tell us
what's happening in Delta State? Give us an update.
with this flooding.
It's a crisis situation here in Delta State, and it didn't just affect the people and the food source, the farm and the houses. Also, the roads actually. To travel across Delta is quite difficult. If you want to travel across Delta, will be within and even out of Delta. Everywhere seems to be flooded, and you have to know your way to negotiate the only good place that you can pass. And of course, people are in a very dire situation, and the camps are getting filled every day. They have 10 camps as of now, but it's going to increase in the sense that more people are getting displaced as a result of the rising flood, which is they've not seen before. The 2012 flood seems to be worse than the 2012 flood, and everybody is in a very, very difficult situation right now. For the Delta State government, they said they did a proactive in actually informing the people that the flood will be as bad as this, but that's a bit they did in informing the people. But these camps were not actually built before now. The camp came up, some of them came up as of this week, early this week, and people had to go there to find refuge. And of course, they made some distribution points where they'll be distributing some of all these food items and clothing and medical items, because majorly you see children, many children are in the camp, and definitely they will come up with one ailment or the other. And they plan also organizing classes for these children in this camp while they are there, so that they will continue their education despite the many schools being flooded at the moment in those areas. I mean, for having just only 6 local governments not flooded in a 25 local government state, you know that the flood actually affected almost everybody in the state.
I don't think
even those who are
Delta State government, I don't think they were prepared for this kind of situation.
Absolutely. They were prepared that the flood will hit. But like in 2018, we had a flood, but not as much as this one. We had in 2019 as well. But in this case, it is quite very, very, very high level of water. affecting almost even to distribute these items. Some of all these items is quite difficult for people to access the roads. They have to go through boats and all that. And of course, the farms, people's farms, people were seen just harvesting the one they can even harvest before
Can you
the
tell us
water
those local
flooded
governments,
their
is
farms.
Asaba affected?
Asaba is quite affected, even opposite the government house. The government house is quite flooded. I mean, I did a report about 5 days ago, a week ago, about how that place was flooded. It's just opposite the government house here, and a neighboring places too, like Oshimili North. This is Oshimili South. The Asaba is in Oshimili North, South, and in this Delta North, we have like 6 local government out of the 9 flooded, because majorly some of them are in the on the part of the River Niger. So most communities in that part were flooded from Oshimili South, Ndokwa East, and all that. They were all flooded. Ukwani. So we have 6 out of the 9. Then in Delta South is all the local government, because you can guess those places are majorly tributaries for where River Niger pass their water to the ocean. So they are all flooded. All the local government, Patani, Bomadi, Brutu, Isoko North, Isoko South, Warri South, all those places are flooded. And of course, camps are set up in some of all those places by the state government, and a support from the SOPADEC, still the state government agency that's in charge of oil producing state, oil producing local government or communities. And in Delta Central, it seems to be the one least flooded, but we still have like 5 local government there being underwater.
We have to leave it there.
So in
Ikena,
total, we
thank you,
have
Ikena, Mechi, giving us a kind of updates. What's happening now? We know those communities passing through River Niger, the Niger Delta, they are all going to be in trouble.
Yes,
all
because
going to be.
we have also, even in our country, we've opened Kainji Dam. We opened some of our own dams.
So that will
and
complicate
the water going straight into the Niger River. So
Wow.
all of the communities that River Niger passes through, they too are facing problems. The reason it's worse in Kogi is that both River Niger and Benue are located. I mean, the confluence is in Lokoja. So as the Cameroonians are pushing water into the Benue River, which passes through that place, we are also pushing water into the River Niger. So all of them in the same state capital. That's why Kogi has such misfortune. But from what we've heard from him, the problem in Delta is also a big one.